What happens when one defender is doing all the work? Today, I've got 6 positions where removing a single defending piece makes the whole position fall apart. In position 1, we have Peter Leko against Rustam from the 4th FIDE Grand Prix Nalchik 2009. Leko was a World Championship challenger in 2004 and Rustam was a FIDE World Champion in 2004. This is a very practical example of the theme. One defensive piece is holding the position together, and once it is removed, the rest becomes much easier. So in this position, black has just made a blunder and he played queen d4. And he is thinking that the knight is protecting queen, which is true, but white can do something to remove the defender, that means to remove the knight from the board, and if that happens, white is simply gonna win the game because he will win the queen. In this position, Peter played Rook takes h7, simply sacrificing the rook. And the whole point is the king is having no escape square thanks to the bishop. So now black king has to take the rook, but before he takes the rook, Rustam in this position resign the game. Point is, when king will take the rook on h7, now you can remove the knight with the check. Here you can simply play bishop takes f5 check. Whenever the king moves or the rook takes, you can simply win the queen and it's queen versus rook, completely winning game. So that is why Rustam, after rook takes h7, resigned the game. And now let's go to the next one. Hello everyone, I'm Aniket, an Arena International Master, and this is Chess Tactics episode 16. Today's pattern is eliminate the defender. The tactic happens when you remove an important defensive piece, and after that, the square, piece, or king it was protecting can no longer be held. Let's understand it with a simple example. So here we got this easy example where white is threatening a checkmate on g7 with the help of queen and knight. But unfortunately, black is defending the square with his knight. So now what white can do is white can use his rook and remove the knight. And that's it. Game over. If rook takes or queen takes, that will simply lead to checkmate on g7. And yes, he can try one check. He can give check on d1. So that is also not great because king h2 and the problem is still same. The rook cannot be captured and the checkmate is coming on g7. And here, if we try to play g6, that's also not better because rook takes f8 check, king takes, and now queen b8. That's it. With the help of knight, the king is stuck. Yes, he can give up a queen and then got checkmated, but you got the point. So after rook takes e8, black can simply resign because he does not have any single move which can help him to survive the game. If you enjoy practical tactical ideas like this, subscribe to the channel. Now let's move to position 2. In position 2, we have Tigran Petrosian against Vasily Smyslov from the candidates 1959. Petrosian was the ninth world champion and Smyslov was the 7th world champion. This position shows how strong a single defender can be. But once that defender disappears, the whole position starts to fall. Pause the video here. It's black to play. Find the move that removes the key defender and makes the position collapse. So in this position, the only counterplay black is having is the pawn coming to c1. But unfortunately, white is having this annoying bishop which is protecting c1. And the bishop is also protected by a pawn. So Smyslov has to do something. Otherwise, the game is going to be draw. So here, in this position, Smyslov played rook takes f4, simply sacrificing the rook for a bishop. And here, Tigran Petrosian resigned the game. Point is, if he will play g takes f4, then black is completely winning after c2. And that's it. His simple threat is c1 queen is coming. So here he can play rook takes g6 check. And after king f7, he can simply go on c6. And yes, he's thinking that he can stop the pawn. But unfortunately, white cannot stop the pawn. Black can simply continue the game with rook d1. And after king moves anywhere, doesn't matter. Then he will have a queen on the board. And then rook has to be given up for a queen. And we'll get this position where black is completely winning. So that is why after rook takes f4, white simply is in the game. Now, let's go to the next one. In position 3, we have Wely against Judit Polgar from 1997. Wely was a 3-time Dutch champion and Judith Polgar is widely regarded as the strongest female chess player in history. Here, the tactic is not about attacking blindly. It's about spotting what piece is doing the real defensive job and removing it first. So in this position, white continue the game with knight h2, simply attacking the queen, but unfortunately, that is a blunder. And here, Judith showed us why she is the strongest female chess player in history. Rook takes f2. And in this position, Wely simply resigned the game. The point is, it's a check, and the knight is protecting the rook. So the only option white is having is to take this rook with other rook. So yes, he can play this and take on f2, but the point was eliminate the defender. And we want the square g3 unprotected, which we did. And now black can simply play queen takes g3 check, and after king f1, black can finish the game with queen takes f2 checkmate. That was the whole point to removing the defender and winning the game. Now, let's go to the next one. In position 4, we have Ekaterina against Tatiana from the European Women's Championship, Belgrade 2013. Ekaterina was the Women's World Championship runner-up in 2004, and Tatiana was a two-time Russian Women's Champion. This is another clean example of the same idea. Before you win the target, you have to get rid of the defender. So let's pause the video here and find the best continuation for the white to continue the game. So in this position, white played rook takes d7, simply removing the bishop, protecting h3. And that was the whole point. Black continued the game with rook takes d7, and here white simply captured on h3. And yes, it's not only about the pawn, it's about the queen. Because now the queen is pinned to the king, and there is no way to defend the queen. And in this position, Tatiana simply resigned the game. Now, let's go to the next one. If you're serious about improving and want structured training instead of random puzzles, I work with students personally. The link to train with me is in description. Now, let's continue. In position 5, we have Aron Nimzowitsch against Arthur from 1922. Nimzowitsch was one of the founders of modern positional chess, and Arthur was a Swedish master in the early 20th century. This position shows that eliminate the defender is not some modern trick. Players have been using this idea for a very long time. In this position, white continued the game with knight takes d5, sacrificing a knight, and the whole point is if pawn takes on d5, then this knight would hang, and Aaron can simply play bishop takes f5, and he is completely winning here. So that is why after knight takes d5, black did not accept the knight, and he himself sacrificed a knight against Aaron, and he played knight takes d4. He said, "You win my pawn, now I'm gonna win the pawn, and then I will capture your knight." So here, Aaron continued the game with knight takes d4, and now this is the last chance for black to continue the game. Just simply don't grab the knight on d5 and hope for best. But unfortunately, he captured this knight on d5, and now there's no one who can save him. And in this position, Aron Nimzowitsch sacrificed his queen and played queen takes d7. And yes, you might be thinking, wait, that's checkmate. So don't forget there's a knight who can capture the queen. But in this position, Arthur simply resigned the game. Point is, whenever the knight will come and take the queen, now there's no bishop who is defending on e6. And that was the whole point, sacrificing your queen. White can simply finish the game with knight e6 checkmate. Game over. The rook is making sure the king cannot escape, and the knight is making sure it's attacked. And that is why black simply resigned the game after queen d7. Now, let's go to the next one. In position 6, we have Alexander Alekhine against Alexander Evenson from Kiev 1918. Alekhine was a fourth world champion, and Evenson was a strong master and a chess organizer from Kiev. This is a classic attacking pattern. The defender disappears, and after that, the position can no longer be saved. Black has just blundered the game, and black played pawn to h6. And it's white to play. Alekhine played queen takes e6, simply sacrificing his queen, and here black simply resigned the game. Point is very simple here. If he tries to take the queen with the queen or with the pawn, doesn't matter much, because that is simply going to checkmate on d8 with the help of bishop, and the knight is making sure the king cannot escape. So the game is going to be over. So this is what Evenson can see, and that is why he simply resigned the game. So that's the eliminate the defender. Point is simple. If one piece is doing the main defensive job, removing that piece can make everything behind it collapse. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe for more practical tactics. And comment which position was the hardest, and tell me what move you found before I revealed it. I will see you in the next one.